Part 3.
Listening to problem solving.
Ugh, my boss is making me plan the holiday party this year. Ugh,
What's wrong with that? Sounds like fun.
it's a lot of work. This is a pretty big event, you know. Over 100 people. I don't even know where to begin.
Well, what needs to be done first?
Oh, I guess I could start by choosing the date and time.
Well, why don't you talk to your colleagues and get a sense of what they'd like to do?
Not a bad idea.
Then what?
Then I guess it's the location. I hated the place where they held the party last year. It was way too close to the office.
What was wrong with that?
Who wants to party near the office? I want to try something different in a fun part of town, you know?
Oh, I get it. How about down around the city market? A lot of people have events around there.
Great idea. I'll make some phone calls tomorrow. And maybe I can get some of my colleagues to give me some more ideas.
Makes sense.
Question 1.
Why is the woman distressed?
Question 2.
What suggestions does the man make?
Question 3.
What does the woman ultimately want? Now listen to part 2.
So then what?
Well, with so many people coming, I guess the guest list would be the next thing to think about.
Come to think of it, you should probably make the guest list before you choose a place. You've got to know how many people you're going to have first.
Good point. I'll do that tomorrow before I make any phone calls.
What about food? You must get a big event like this catered, right?
Oh, definitely. This is a pretty formal event.
Well, that would be the next step. Once you know how many people are coming and where it's going to be, who knows? You might want to have it right in a restaurant.
Right. Hey, wait a minute. We missed something important. I've got to make a budget first.
Like right after you've made your guest list, right?
Right, because I'll know then how much I can spend per person. See what I mean? There's a lot to do.
So far, so good.
Question 4.
Why is a guest list important?
Question 5.
What does the woman need to do second?
Question 6.
What type of event will this be? Now listen to part 3.
What's next?
Well, we've got to have music, so I'll need to find a DJ.
You know, one of the guys at work, his wife does that. Want me to get her number for you?
That would be great. Thanks. Oh, and decorations. They usually do a great job decorating the room for these parties. I'm sure I can get someone to take care of that. I'd better include it on my list so I don't forget.
Well, that sounds pretty much like everything, no?
I think so. Invitations. They're going to want me to send out some nice invitations to get everyone in the mood.
Okay, that should be everything. So, why don't you get some help from your colleagues? Surely you're not expected to do it all, right?
No, you're right. When I'm done, I'll make a list and assign responsibilities. There are at least 5 people in the office who have already said they'd help. I'm sure I can get them to do the invitations and decorations, and I can take care of the rest.
Not too bad.
Thanks. That really helped.
Question 7.
How might the man help?
Question 8.
How will the woman's co-workers help?
Listening to a daily life conversation. You will hear a conversation followed by 5 questions. Choose the best answer to each question.
You've got some interesting things on your bookshelf here, Justin.
Yeah, I like to keep special things there so I can see them. They remind me of people and things that have happened in my life. I guess there's a kind of story behind each one. Like this old leather journal, which is the first journal I ever got.
It's nice. How did you get it?
My mother gave it to me years ago. And, when I look back, I think she was trying to teach me something about why I should lead a good life or something. Because at the time, I'd been struggling with school, making the wrong kinds of decisions and hanging out with the wrong kind of friends and stuff. So, anyway, she gave me this journal just before I graduated from high school. And when I opened it, she had written this poem, and it said something like my future was before me like a field of white snow, and that every step I took was going to show. And she said, fill this book with good memories.
That's so cool. It's no wonder you still have it. And what's the story behind this baseball cap?
That is Jeff Lim's baseball cap. He was my roommate in college. Chinese guy. Fantastic baseball player. Unbelievable. He played on the college team from day one. Nice guy, too. When I think about it, he was probably my best friend in college. We were best buddies. It's no wonder, really. We shared a room for 3 years and never had an argument. Great guy. Anyway, getting back to my story, It was the last day of college, and we were packing up and getting ready to leave and everything. And I said, "Jeff, it's been a great 3 years. I hope we'll stay in touch." And Jeff said, "Yeah, man." Then he left. He was going back to China. I went downstairs with him, and we said goodbye. And then, when I went back into the room, he had left his baseball cap on my bed with a note that said, "Give this back to me next time." I haven't seen him since that day.
That's so amazing. Why did he give you his cap?
Because I'd always liked it.
Oh, that's so nice. I hope you can give it back to him one day.
Yeah. And this picture? I bought this in Florida a couple of years ago. I had gone away with some friends. Looking back, I think it was the first real vacation I'd ever taken with my friends, and we spent all our time on the beach. We had so much fun. So I bought this, so I could always remember that vacation.
And did you write about it in your journal too?
Sure. I write something in it every week.
Question 1.
Where is this conversation taking place?
Question 2.
Why did Justin's mom give him a journal?
Question 3.
How does Justin feel about his college roommate?
Question 4.
What is interesting about the baseball cap?
Question 5.
Why does Justin have a picture of Florida?
Listening for information. You will hear a conversation followed by 6 questions. Choose the best answer to each question.
Welcome, Maxine.
Hi, thank you. Nice to be here.
Okay, so Maxine, when did you first know that you wanted to be a designer?
Well, even as a kid, I was fascinated by colors and clothes. In fact, I was more interested in clothes and drawing pictures of them than any toys I had. And I was only interested in real clothes. You know, dressing up dolls and all was never my thing.
Right. Now, do you think you were born with a talent for design, or did you learn it?
Actually, probably both. But you know, from a young age, I found I was capable of creating designs that were technically pretty good. That's partly because my mother was a fashion designer, and I learned a lot by watching her work. She did a lot of her work at home. She designed formal clothes for women, like suits and workwear, that kind of thing.
So she was a big influence on you.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Because you also only design clothes for women, right?
Yes, that's right. But I designed more casual clothes
Clothes with a relaxed feel, light colors.
And how did you get started in your career as a professional designer? Did your mother get you into it? Did you start out working for your mother?
No, actually I didn't, and she never forced me into it, but she was always very encouraging. She helped me find my first job in a top fashion house in Paris, where I worked with an incredibly gifted designer. I really benefited from his knowledge. He taught me to work under pressure and to be disciplined as well as creative. In the 10 years I worked there, I felt my designs got better and better.
But then you started your own clothing company.
Yes, I wanted a new challenge and to be my own boss, take control of things. And I have to say, it's been remarkably successful.
That's wonderful. It also sounds incredibly stressful.
There's no doubt about that. But it's worth it. Having my own company gives me the opportunity to promote my ethical approach to fashion.
You talk a lot about this ethical approach. Ethical in what way?
Well, I'm trying to shine a light on the problems of the fashion industry. There are so many fashion companies where workers are badly paid. We like to treat our workers fairly and pay them properly, better than the average. And also, the materials that are used are often grown with chemicals that pollute the earth and that kind of thing.
So how do you deal with that?
Well, ethical clothing also means being environmentally responsible and using organic materials, like organic cotton. We want to take chemicals out of the process as much as we can. Also, we make clothes to last more than one season. We don't believe it's right to wear something a few times and then throw it away.
Question 1.
What got Maxine into fashion?
Question 2.
What did Maxine's mother do?
Question 3.
What type of clothing does Maxine design?
Question 4.
What did Maxine learn from her job?
Question 5.
Why did Maxine start a company?
Question 6.
What is ethical clothing?
Listening to a news item. You will hear a news item once. It is about 1.5 minutes long.
New research shows that having a pet dog can help to reduce children's stress. A study by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in the USA shows that petting a dog is a great way to help stressed kids. Researchers looked at 643 children aged 6 and 7 over an 18-month period. They found that children who have a pet dog suffer from less stress than children without a dog. The researchers said that just 12% of the children with pets showed signs of stress. This compares with 21% of children with no dog. The research will come as no surprise to the parents of children who have a dog. They have always known that a dog is great for helping a child's development and mental health. A researcher said there are many things about the research that she is still unclear about. She said she did not know if less anxious children have pet dogs or if it is the other way around and pet dogs make children less anxious. She said the research just showed a link between pet dogs and children's stress. She said pet dogs help children start conversations. This can often be difficult for children to do and can cause them stress. The researchers also said a pet dog can be a source of comfort for children. The dog can also act as a friend to a small child who tells the pet all his or her secrets and stories. Sometimes a dog is so important that its name can be the first word the child speaks. This is Noreen Lamb reporting from Spain.
Listening to a news item.
2 hikers lost on Mount Gibson for the past 3 days were finally rescued today. Ron and Sally Jackson left their home in Calgary, Alberta, last Saturday and drove north to Mount Gibson. The couple had planned to spend the afternoon hiking the mountain trails and carried a small backpack containing only sandwiches and water. Just an hour into their hike, they decided to leave the designated trail and soon became lost in the dense forest. Fortunately, a local resident noticed that their car had been parked at the base of the mountain for a few days. He notified police, and a search and rescue helicopter was sent to look for the pair. When asked how they managed to survive, Sally Jackson, who was uninjured but very dehydrated, answered, "We ate berries and drank water from the creek." Search and rescue official Frank Smith said, "People should carry extra food, water, and clothing when hiking." He added, "They should also inform someone as to where they plan to hike and approximately when they expect to return." Grateful for his rescue, Ron Jackson said, "We wouldn't be alive today without the help of the man who reported our car to the police and the experienced rescue crew that found us. And next time, we'll stick to the marked trails."
Listening to a discussion.
So what did you want to see me about, Ernie?
My grade. I'm not doing very well in this class.
Well, that's not exactly true. You were doing very well until the last test.
I got a D, Professor Adams. I've never gotten a D in my life. Before this, I mean. So that's why I'm here. I hope you can give me some advice.
Well, from my class book, I see that your attendance is excellent. No absences, so that's not the problem.
No, I never miss class. I'm a serious student. I just don't know what happened on that test.
Did you bring it, the test?
Yes, I did. Here it is.
Okay. I think I remember this, but there were almost 100 tests to grade, so let's have a look at it.
Thanks.
Well, Ernie, let's see. Here it is. Yes, I do recall this test. You didn't finish it. You stopped after question 15. So you had 5 questions that were counted wrong because you didn't complete the test.
I know. I didn't watch the time, and I just couldn't believe it when you asked us to hand in the tests.
Yes, I see. But you did a good job on the questions that you did respond to.
Professor Adams, maybe you won't believe me, but I know the answers to the questions that
The ones that you left blank at the end.
Yeah. So now I need some advice about how to bring up my grade because a D is going to make a big difference.
This test counts 25%, so you're right. It will bring it down at least a letter.
I know.
Okay, then. The first thing's to learn something from this. You have to find a way to pace yourself through tests, or you're going to have this problem again.
I know. And believe me, I learned that already.
Okay, that's good. Now, what about the grade for this class?
I was hoping you might give me a chance to maybe do an extra credit assignment.
I don't know about that.
Oh.
But here's what we can do. If you want to finish the test right now, and your answers are satisfactory, then I'll add some points to your grade.
You will? I know the answers, really.
I can't give you full credit for your answers. That wouldn't be fair to the other students. But I can add some points, and that should help you somewhat.
Wow. This is great.
Okay, just take your test over there and finish it. You had about an hour to complete 20 questions, so that would be 15 minutes to finish the 5 questions you left blank. And Ernie, pace yourself.
I will. Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Listening to a daily life conversation.
Welcome to the Renter's Legal Clinic. What brings you here?
Well, when I signed the lease to rent my apartment, my landlord made me pay extra, and I want that money back.
What fees did the landlord charge you, apart from the first month's rent?
Well, the rent is $1,000 a month. In addition to that, he collected an equal amount for a damage deposit, which he said he'd repay at the end of the lease if the apartment was left in good condition. But what if he finds some excuse not to pay it back?
Exactly. It's illegal for landlords to collect damage deposits that are more than half a month's rent in this province. The landlord should know that. It says so right in the lease agreement. Did you read that part of the contract before you signed it?
No, he rushed through and turned that page really fast, so I didn't even see where it said that. But can I just not pay the rent for the final month of the lease? The rent is $1,000 a month, so not paying for the last month would be the same as him refunding my deposit, right?
I wouldn't recommend withholding rent money because then your landlord might come after you for non-payment. What you should do is write a letter to your landlord requesting that half of the deposit be returned to you.
Ah, so it's better to be on the offensive?
Right. I'll dictate a letter for you to type and sign. The letter warns the landlord that the money was collected illegally and demands that if he doesn't repay it to you in 10 days, you'll appeal to the rental board to recover the money. In that case, there'll be a hearing in court and the government will collect the money for you.
Do I have to pay a lawyer?
Not me. I volunteer my time. You pay the rental board. It costs $70 to file a claim, if that becomes necessary. But you'll get that money back. The landlord will have to pay your deposit, plus the $70, and 6% interest.
Sounds fair.
Just be sure you send the letter by registered mail. That way you can track the delivery online and know whether or not he actually received it.
Okay, let's get started.
Question 1.
Why did the woman go see the man?
Question 2.
What was the problem with the woman's damage deposit?
Question 3.
What does the man say the woman should do about her rent?
Question 4.
What step will the woman take next?
Question 5.
What does the man charge for his services?
Question 6.
How should the woman make her request?
Listening to viewpoints.
The humanities are a group of academic disciplines that focus on human culture, including subjects like literature, history, and philosophy. A recent Statistics Canada report indicates that 30% of university graduates with a humanities degree are overqualified for the jobs they hold. Many don't even have jobs. Does this mean that students shouldn't study the humanities? And universities shouldn't bother offering humanities degrees? If the purpose of universities is to provide career training, then at a glance the future looks grim for the humanities. After all, university is expensive. Many students, along with their tuition fee paying parents, expect to eventually receive a reasonable return on their investment. Such students should probably study accounting and engineering instead of literature and philosophy. But this raises the question, what is the purpose of university? Many would argue that universities exist in order to provide a broad education, not job training. That education, they'd argue, should include the humanities. Traditionally, the humanities help produce a citizenry that can distinguish between fact and propaganda, a citizenry not susceptible to the manipulative rhetoric of potential demagogues. However, not everyone considers this outcome desirable, because such a populace is cognitively well equipped to question the distribution of power and hence potentially disrupt the status quo. Even if it is the purpose of the university to make students job ready, it appears that employers still want their workers to have good critical thinking skills. These skills are learned in the humanities. Most philosophy departments, for example, offer a course in critical thinking skills. They also teach ethics, a branch of philosophy that enables people to make reasoned decisions about right and wrong. And yet, how often do we see an entry-level job ad mentioning a philosophy course as a requirement? Still, when surveyed, today's employers say they want new hires to have critical thinking skills. However, entry-level workers say that their employers want them to think critically only about certain things. Critical thinking about cost-cutting? Probably. Critical thinking about policies and procedures? Probably not. And as for ethics, workers report that their employers want compliance with the company's code of ethics. Employers seem to want it both ways. Workers who are job-ready and who think critically. Workers who think critically about some things, but not all things. It seems employers want to have their cake and eat it too, which is, to many critical thinkers, a logical impossibility. Perhaps in the end, it is the employers who need the humanities courses.